Hi, I'm welcome to Reef Talk. I'm Scott with Mile High Reefers. I'm here with CJ from CJ's Aquarium and Steve Rotter of Rotter Tube Reef. And about YouTube videos as an extension of the hobby, because for me it's a lot of fun, including Steve and CJ through here, and it's really been a lot of fun. And there's a lot of different ways to record your videos. I use a laptop and a camera, although CJ uses just an iPhone and he gets incredible results out of it. So CJ, do you want to tell us a little bit about how you record and how how it all works for you?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm on the iPhone right now, man. So I know it's a little choppy, but it's great. It's great. Really, I think everyone just starts off needing to film their tank somehow, and that's how I started. Just with a phone, and didn't really want to complicate things with a camera and a computer. There's levels to it, and really, just the phone is just the easiest way to go. Honestly, man. These days, especially with these new iPhones, like the iPhone 7 that's going to be coming out here soon, the cameras on them are so sharp that, once you learn how to focus and deal with the features on the phone, you can come out with some good videos. So, I try to encourage everyone to do that. I did that long series on how I do all my videos, and hopefully that helps some people. If you haven't seen it yet, I'll recommend y'all check it out. But hey, I'll mention that phones. Scott, hey, stick with your phone, man. That last video you did wasn't too bad.
Well, part of my problem is I have a $30 Windows phone. Last time my phone died was when I was doing my lighting upgrade on my tank, and I had a choice of spending $700 on a phone or $700 on my tank. So I chose my tank.
Oh yeah.
So I bought the Black Friday $30 phone.
Oh yeah, you can't beat it, man.
So much in the way of process.
I mean, we can't all be like Steve with the professional.
Oh, I know.
$2,000 mics and stuff, man.
Dude, you guys can have all this with the amount of money you're raking. Dude, CJ puts a video up, and within like an hour and a half, he's got like 1,300 views from his phone.
Yeah. I mean,
1,300 views in an hour, and I'm sitting there with like 100. Whatever.
I don't really I don't know. I really can't explain that part of it. I guess they say doesn't matter how many subscribers you got if no one watches, I guess. So I guess the majority of the people who tune in to my channel watch my videos for the most part. So
Yeah, you do a good job, and I will say, it's really true. I mean, with an iPhone, I mean, I've got a lot of kick-ass production cameras because that's what I do. I'm an editor and a cinematographer and an audio engineer and a musician and everything. But you don't need that. I mean, I just uploaded a video today on the tip for extra water clarity, and I use this. So it looks great. I mean, they shoot in 1080, 60p. I mean, look at CJ's videos and look at the one I just did. You don't need anything fancy. In fact, you know what? A lot of the big YouTubers, they'll film themselves holding the phone in the mirror. A lot of these guys started out with just really cheap phones from like 3 years ago, and they're still using them, and they got like thousands of views. So you guys don't worry about that. And I guess that's what this show is going to kind of talk about. Like Scott, you were saying, like what, YouTube and saltwater aquariums and like filming and all that. I mean, I use production gear, and I broke out the big cameras for some of the stuff because it's fun for me, but you don't need it. And I think most people don't appreciate it. So, yeah, it's true. You don't need it. Just stick with your iPhone.
Now, your first video you shot on IC was with your iPhone, wasn't it?
Yeah. I was going through, yeah, that's a good point. I was between cameras, and I had a cheaper iPhone. I think it was just an iPhone 4, and I balanced it on top of a Cheerios box. I had no cameras at the time because I was in the process of getting new upgraded ones. Yeah, so there you go. And that's my most watched video with a low-end resolution. It looks all right, but it's not like what we're turning out now with these phones 3 years later. So yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really it's the purpose of what you're doing it for. I mean, of course, it's nice to have YouTube and entertain, but the main thing is document your tank. You know,
Yeah.
keeping track of it yourself. We try to remember what we can, but you know, we can remember maybe a month ago. But to think about how your tank's gonna look, you know, a year ago, you're not gonna remember that. So put it on tape. I try to encourage everyone.
Absolutely.
It's people that you know, may ask questions on videos. You know, I'm just starting to tank here and there, and then you know, I love talking about the hobby with any and everyone that drops me a comment. And believe it or not, people don't realize it, but I look at everyone's page. I mean, anyone that drops me a comment or asks a question, I click on it to see if they have videos up. And I'm kind of disappointed sometimes because I know they seem enthused, you know, about asking questions, but I'm like, man, document your tank, you know, for your sake, you know, share it with us because it's easier to answer a question if we can see what's going on than it is to just go by what you say because it's hard to explain everything you want. So.
Right, and one thing.
Well, it's also.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say it's also really cool because you can go back and you can see the coral growth and your fish growth because you don't necessarily notice that day to day, but when you go watch that 6-month-old video, you see how much that coral or fish has changed.
Right. Sometimes, though, it's sad when you see your other videos and the fish you no longer have. You watch the videos. I hate that.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I don't like watching
Grab me the
all my
chair.
videos. One thing I was going to
That is a good point.
Yeah, one thing I was going to say too, in video production, one thing you can do to help increase your video, it's like a little trick. I'll give you 2 tricks. That's what she said, by the way. Your video quality might not be the best, but shoot in HD. Make sure you have plenty of light. Tripod, use it. CJ spoke about that, the importance of in his videos. Use a tripod. I'm really good at holding the camera steady, right? But if you're in front of the camera, you're not going to want to be doing this.
Yeah.
So one other big key to this is please try and make sure your audio is good because you know what? You can have the best video production in the world, but if the audio sounds like you're in a locker room, or if it sounds like it's coming from way out somewhere else and we can't really hear you and it's quiet, we're jacking up the volume and it all the way to 10, 100%, and you're still quiet, I will usually skip videos for that reason. So if you've got awesome audio, the video doesn't quite matter as much. You know? Anyway, just try and make both as best you can.
All right. Hang on one second. Let me relocate a second here.
All right.
Sure. But I think with the audio, you make a good point. That's kind of why I like doing a lot of voiceover these days. For a long time, I didn't spend the money to invest in a mic, and it's a lot easier to put the voiceover on later and actually say what you want without rambling and actually have it sound good. You don't have the noise from the tank or whatever else you're working on, the kid in the room or whatever.
Right. One thing that I've been seeing more YouTubers do, speaking of that, is 915 Mang was one of the first ones I saw doing this. He'll just film, and then he'll, I guess, maybe take his phone and watch. I'm assuming this is how he does it. This is how I would do it. He'll watch his video he put together, and then he'll just say, yeah, so this is me going to the reef store, and if you notice, this coral fret. So you're just doing a voiceover on your video production, you know?
Yep.
And then you just put that together. That's a great way to do it, especially if you've got kids in the house and they're loud, like mine are right now upstairs, and I'm about to go upstairs and do something. But, you know,
Yeah.
you just do your narration so you don't have to worry about video games or TV or anything in the background.
Man, that makes it impossible. Like right now, like I'm just.
Isn't that what you do though, CJ? I mean, it seems like
Yeah.
your narration is really clean.
I'm pretty much counting the minutes right now until I start hearing some screaming on the baby monitor. But that's the main reason. I mean, you know, my studio. I say all the time it's my studio, but my car is like the perfect, you know, airtight box that eliminates echoes, which is a major, you know, bad thing because I don't have a microphone. I just use my phone.
Yeah.
You know, I don't deal with the, you know, the wife, the kids, and I'm not perfect. You know, I'm speaking live right now, but if I can really record the bloopers of how many times I screw up my voiceovers when I'm on video, either I'll stutter or I'll say something the wrong way. I mean, I find myself when I'm doing voiceovers, I don't know if anyone else runs into this, but I have to say the same thing multiple times, you know, to get it right. You know, I may say it over and over and over again and then record it
Yeah.
to make sure it sounds right and to make sure my pacing's right, make sure I'm speaking at the same volume. You know, I don't want to start off, you know, saying, you know, hey, it's a CJ, blah, 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 for one segment, and then the next segment have the phone up here and say, hey, this is CJ, blah, blah, you know, because that completely screws off, you know, everything. So, um, voiceovers without a microphone, I would say it's difficult. And I've ran into audio issues like you were speaking of, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Your stuff sounds great, man. It always sounds great. It sounds like you're, and I can tell, I can hear those things. It sounds like you said, you're in an airtight box. It sounds like you're in a vocal booth. It's always very quiet. There's a nice bass to your voice. It sounds like it's recorded well. So with that, I wanted to ask. I guess you just answered it. So you film first, obviously, like when you go to the reef store, and then are you just remembering the clips you filmed, and then you're just kind of talking, and you record separate audio tracks on your phone, and then you just bring them in and layer them in, or is that what you do?
Yeah,
How do you know? Because you said the pacing. How do you know where to lay the audio tracks, or do you just you just remember what you did and then just record audio and then match it up later?
well, when I first started doing it, I ran into the problem of, you know, we'll put it this way. To answer your question first, I always record my video first and then do voiceover later. I never do it the opposite way. It would seem like it would make more sense, but I like to keep a certain pace with my videos. I don't want them to be too long. I want them to be like jam packed and then be over with. Um, and I know if I spoke and then recorded later, I would talk too slow. So I always record my, you know, my tank first or whatever I'm gonna do first, and then I add the audio later. Now, one trick I started doing after I realized I wasn't giving myself enough video, I felt rushed when I was doing my voiceover, would be to talk as I'm recording. So as I'm recording a
Mm.
shot, you know, I'll just be talking really low, not loud enough to really be as audio, but really for myself to keep pace with how much time I'm gonna need. And then I find that after I record that shot, it may be 40 seconds worth of talking. When it comes to voiceover, I say the same thing I said in that little segment. And the more I say it, the faster I can say it, and the more clear I can say it. And that segment may shrink from 40 seconds down to 25 seconds, saying the same thing. So that's something that I've learned to really keep the pace of my videos up. So that way, you know, it doesn't get boring. I hate boring long videos, man. That monotone, you know, like old professors be, and you know, I don't want to do that.
No, well, yours sound good.
So CJ, your videos seem like they kind of have a storyline that go with them. I mean, you do a really nice job kind of saying what's happened with it, how it's happened, why. Do you kind of do an outline ahead of time, or you just kind of have a rough idea in your head what you want to do?
I've to this day I've never done an outline. I promise. Hands to, you know, cross my heart. Never done an outline. I will say I try to pick maybe 2 or 3 topics I want to cover in one video to where I don't ramble across everything. And if I focus in on those 3 topics, then it's easier to stay on track. So like, but I see what you're saying though. I mean, I guess I have a weird way of thinking of how I want my videos to go. It is kind of like a movie. You know, I've started to maybe give a little information in the beginning that I know I'm going to come back around to later in the video, kind of thing, and then fill it in the middle with something else. So it's something else I always started. Well, I just started doing. Well, actually, I look back through some of my old videos from last year, and I've been doing it way back since then. I like to break up my topics with intermissions of choral shots. If you watch my videos, you notice that that's the
Right.
whole reason I'm doing it. That's kind of like my transition. Like if you was to turn a page from chapter to chapter,
Yep.
you know, it gives you all a second to absorb what I just told you for the last 2 or 3 minutes as you're looking at some corals, and then we can jump into the next topic. Instead of me talking for 20 minutes straight, you know, I may talk in 5 minutes, take a 20-second break, show you some shots, and then talk again for another 2 or 3 minutes, and then, you know, break it up that way.
That's a great idea.
That is the way to do it. That is definitely the way to do it. And if you're filming it where you're going to be doing any type of editing in post-production, you want to break it up. I can't remember the exact number, but let's just say 3 minutes. It could be the most interesting topic in the world, but if it just, the camera's on the guy and they keep talking and they keep talking, and you're going to kind of lose the audience. So if you could break it up with, like what you said, a shot of a coral while you talk, or like you said, perfect way of saying it, turning the page, you could just quickly fade to black with a title, and now the corals, you know, with maybe a little sound effect. I do that a lot. And then you show the shot of the corals. Do stuff to break it up, because if you don't, it could be the most exciting video in the world, like I said, but it's going to be kind of monotonous to the viewer, whether they realize it or not. So there's a good tip. And I noticed that you do that, and it keeps it lively. It keeps the people looking around and your various video clips. So that's a really good tip as well.
There is something else I tried to. I was trying to think of the best way to say it. I try to make my videos in a way to where you almost, if you watched it twice, you would see something you missed the first time.
Right. Yeah.
Nice.
So, like, I know I can't cover everything in my voiceover, so, you know, before I put out my final version of it, I'll watch it and I'll listen to everything I've said. Anything I've missed, I'll add a subtitle to explain what I've missed.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll miss those subtitles the first time you're watching because you'll be so caught up with what I'm saying. But if you watch it again, you'll see the subtitles along with you. You'll be like, damn, he said this on top of what he said. And, you know, that may give you a little more incentive to watch it twice. And something else I've started to learn to do is, you know, talking is one thing, but letting the video explain what's happening is another. So if I'm doing an unboxing, I'm not going to talk while I'm doing the unboxing saying, hey, I'm doing an unboxing while I'm showing you an unboxing.
Right.
I'll talk about what I'm going to be unboxing as I'm unboxing it. Let the action be the action. Let my explanation be my explanation. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that way you get the most of everything you're doing at once.
Right. No redundancy.
Right.
It's obviously you're opening a box. You're not going to say, I'm opening a box. Yeah. That's
Right.
good.
Right.
Very good. Like, you know, in writing, like, I walked on the ground. Well, yeah, obviously. You know, just say I walked. So I see a lot of YouTube videos, they'll do that. Or one thing, how can I even explain this? The human mind is so fast, it can fill in the blanks. Like one of my friends, they were filming this video, and it was just a scene of a guy leaving a store, walking across the parking lot, taking out his car keys, putting them in the car door, opening the car door, and then sitting inside. Well, that was like a 30-second mark. It's like, we know. Just film him leaving the door, quick shot of the key in the door, and then he's sitting at the steering wheel. See? It's down to like 4 seconds. You don't need all that stuff. And this goes back to the whole, if you're filming, don't put the camera down. We don't want to see jerkiness while you're trying to open a box. Edit all that crap out if you can. Try and make it as clean as possible, because we're going to lose viewers. If I see a video like that, I'm gone. You know, I don't want to. I don't have any time or patience. And in this day and age, everyone wants it now. It's YouTube. It's like, you know, quick drive-throughs. It's I want it immediately because we've got a lot of things to do. And it's unfortunate. It's not like it was in the 1980s or whatever, where it's more laid back. We want it now, the day and age that we live in. So if you are going to film, make sure you do quick cuts. Just get to the next thing. Also, another good tip is to kind of put some subtle music underneath. You'll be amazed at how much that fills up and makes it more alive. So do that.
Oh, yeah. Now, when you talk...
Oh, there he is.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say that's something I've started doing a little bit. I need to do more of it with the music. A long time I didn't do it because I try to monetize my videos on YouTube. And I figured out that you can do the YouTube partners, and there's tons of music available on there. So if you're looking for music, the YouTube partners on your YouTube upload will have tons of music you can download, and some of it's actually pretty good.
It is. There are hundreds of MP3s you can download from that creative link in the left-hand column where it says, you know, community, channel. Click on channel. No, it's the very last one on the bottom left. It says creative or create. And it's got thousands of sound bites from real artists that are royalty free, and I've downloaded a ton of them, and I keep them in a folder, you know, for production, my favorite ones. So that's something you guys can do too. So keep your edits short, use music if you can, subtly in the background, and make sure your audio is really good. And now for your aquarium, I don't use these because for every shoot I white balance my cameras, and white balance means that you go outside and shoot, film something white, it might not be pure white. It might be kind of like a bluish or a yellowish. Then you adjust your camera to say, this looks like white, right? Now, since your camera is set to see this is white, now you walk in the house, this won't be white, or this won't be white. You know what I mean? So that's what white balancing is. If you try and shoot your aquarium, you're going to get all kinds of maybe weird colors. Like your sand is going to probably be like an off blue, not a white, you know? So that's a segue, because I think you, CJ, do you use the gels, don't you, for your aquarium?
You mean the gel filters?
Yeah, the gel filters.
No.
Oh, I thought you did. I thought I saw a video on the gel filters from you.
I gave you guys a kind of a sneak peek at the gel filters on that live broadcast you did.
Yeah.
That was the only time I've ever used it. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I started to. I was kind of surprised I was going to be doing her soon, but I'm going to do an all gel filter video of my tank here soon.
Nice.
That's going to be cool.
We'll see. I'm going to focus on just the corals up close, with the torch corals moving and all that stuff with the gel filters. It's going to, you know, I got plans for that coming up, but no, I've never used them, not for any videos that I posted. I have some that I've been playing around with, but it's still nowhere near the natural color that I would get when I just use my iPhone. So to get around the blue, you know, it's a few tricks I use, but to sum it up real quick, just like I said, I've covered this in my videos. If you guys check my channel out, you've probably seen it. But you just remove the top. I just remove my screen top, crank down the blues all the way, almost to nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I record the tank. And when I say almost nothing, because it looks white to my eyes, but the camera picks up that little bit of blue, and that's where you get your colors from on the video. And you know, that's the main thing I've done. It's not perfect. You know, sometimes, like you said, the white balance will get crazy.
Right.
And even though I've done that, the tank will still have like a purplish color to it. Like I can't explain it. So what I do is either take that white sheet of paper, like you said, have the camera focus on it to kind of auto balance it, or I'll go in my bathroom where I have it's one of the like really, really white kind of light bulbs. I'll take my camera and focus on that light bulb to where it sees it the right color, then bring it right back to my tank, and then it kind of fixes it. So, you know,
that's awesome. That's a good trick. You guys try that out. So you, so yeah, with the iPhones or any kind of mobile phone, it has the auto white balance, and it always usually works well for more consumer grade or professional cameras or digital cameras, DSLRs, like what I'm using. You can do an auto white balance, which is like what CJ said. You want to lock in on a white source and tell the camera this is white, because white outside will look white inside because you got fluorescent lights. That's different than the sun. And then CJ was talking about the gels he uses. That's a way to kind of trick the camera. You're putting a red gel in front of your camera, so if it's seeing blue, the red will compensate, cancel out the blues. But you can also do another trick, which was great, that I forgot to mention that CJ just did. He white balances in reverse, so he'll take the blues out of his light, making everything pure white with just the white light, and it looks a little not as good or natural to us, but on camera it makes everything pop. So that's an awesome tip too. And bathroom light, that's great too. So try and balance your cameras if you can. But you know, the iPhones and any other phones have got auto white balancing built in. So this Scott.
I'm
Oh,
over here for the real CJ. Look, CJ's aquarium's name came from CJ, my son. It's actually not my name. It's his.
well,
he's been a little brat, so we'll see how far we can get. What
he
you
seems
say?
pretty well behaved to me.
Yeah. Talk.
But he probably just he wants to get into stuff. That's what it sounds like. He's doing a good job at behaving, but he just wants to touch everything. I know how it is. See all these cool switches on this rack unit there? When it all lights up, it looks really cool to little kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I bet they pushed everyone.
Mm-hmm.
This thing. Mm-hmm. But okay. You guys go ahead. I'll jump in a second.
So Scott, with your camera that you're using, are you doing white balancing? You got it set to the auto white balance on that new video camera that you've got.
I just use the auto that comes with it. I'm actually pretty easy in the way I do everything. I just set the camera to auto. I've got a reasonably good camera, nothing real high end. It's a Canon Vixia. It's a camcorder.
Those are nice.
Yeah, it's far from perfect, but I really like it because it has an optical zoom built in, which allows me to zoom in on corals on the fish tank. When you have a small tank, it's not such a big deal, but when you get a big one and you want to kind of get closer shots of the stuff in back, that optical zoom's really nice. So for my budget, that was kind of the best I could do. And it's doing a reasonably good job.
Yeah, those look good.
Yeah, I was curious about your tank, Scott. You got those T5s and stuff. You really can't adjust your blues on your tank, so.
Well, I've got the T5s. I'm noticing with just running the two T5s right now, my camera does a reasonably good job with the white balance. But I can actually turn the T5s off and just go with the LEDs, which are kind of on a whitish setting anyways. So that's another way around it for me. So
Okay.
between the camera and then just shutting the T5s off, I can usually kind of get the color I'm looking for.
Yeah, and it's still bright enough. I can see that.
Yeah, yeah.
It does look good.
So kind of see both. But yeah, you can see the difference between like my last video, what I did with my cell phone, and everything is just completely blue. That's because the phone can't white balance like the other camera does. So if you look at the ones before that, they look pretty normal, like you'd expect to see a reef tank, where a lot of them you see are just completely blown out blue, and that's kind of what everybody's talking about with the white balancing, because if you do like a 20K tank, it's just blue. That's all you see.
I thought your phone did a really good job. It didn't look bad at all to me. I was very surprised. I mean, phones do a great job. You know, there's nothing wrong with that.
It did okay.
No, it was really good. But you know, the thing that was weird, like in your all your other videos, I guess your aquarium looks like.
Hang on a second.
I'm losing you, Steve.
Yeah, I lost Steve there for a second too. Can you repeat that?
I was just saying that your last video, Scott, one of your last videos when you used your phone, you were shooting it from standing up and you were shooting down onto the tank, so the tank looked smaller because you usually have the camera down low shooting up and your head is down in the bottom.
Right. So usually I use a tripod and all of that. I don't have a mount to put my cell phone on my tripod, so I just did a quick 2-minute just pan the tank with my hand, which is probably terrible videography, but it was just good enough to kind of put something out there to say this is where I'm at.
I know I with you, but it was actually very good.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just me talking to the back of the phone. And to be honest, guys, that's kind of the basic you have to do. And I actually like seeing some of those videos out there because it's raw, uncut, and people are just kind of showing what their tank's doing right then. I don't know if I want to see 20 minutes of that, but 2 minutes of it's actually pretty good. I like seeing some of those.
Yeah, it was actually really good. So those of you guys who are watching, we're just talking about filming our tanks and just little tips and tricks for video production on it. But one thing, saltwater aquarium wise, I wanted to, talk to ask CJ. CJ,
Yeah, you're breaking up again. If you ask it.
The rimless, it's said you lost up. So CJ, with your J45 being, the rimless, no top on it, you get nervous going to work? Because I know that happens to a lot of people.
Yeah, it's really breaking up. Let me make sure I heard your question. You was asking about the top, if I'm nervous with the top on?
Going to work, you could come home, a fish could be out of it.
Oh yeah, I learned a long time ago. I have to have a top on, without a doubt. When I say I take the top off for filming, it's only for filming. I mean, literally, like right now, I'm nervous with it just being off right now, to make sure nothing jumps out of the tank. So, when I'm filming the tank, I'll take the top off. But when I'm not, I have my screen top on 24/7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the first month or so when I had this tank, I lost a 6-line wrasse jumped out. I had a flame angel jump out. I had a diamond spot goby jump out. All of those died, dried up. Fish potato chips, and then here recently, I would say last month, I was doing a water change, and my yellow wrasse, which is sleeping right now, I just turned the lights on. He's still buried, but he torpedoed out of the tank. He hit the wall over here, and I couldn't find him for maybe 3 or 4 minutes. I couldn't see if he was on the side of the tank or behind it, and I ended up finding him on the floor over here. I threw him in. He's still alive, but he hasn't been the same ever since. He just swims around the top of the tank. I don't know if he, some of his brain cells dried. I don't know. So, but basically, never trust a fish in a rimless tank, man.
Yeah.
I was reading.
Absolutely.
I was reading a pretty cool tip. Maybe you'll be able to, answer this, or people have built for their rimless tanks just not a complete cover on the top, but just like maybe a 1-inch clear top that goes around the tank, kind of like a toilet bowl type thing where the center is all open, because when a fish jumps out, they'll usually swim up the side of the glass and they'll jump out. But if that ridge is there, they'll get knocked back in. So your whole inside is open, but you've got this 1-inch clear border around the tank that acts as your lid. I don't know, maybe that would help. So you're keeping your rimless, but you have an actual just rim on it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I've heard of that, and I can see how that train of thinking would make sense, but I don't know if I would try it. I'm not gonna say that.
I wouldn't try it.
I can see on my 90-gallon tank, it wasn't that setup, but I had a Solon wrasse jump out, and I had a canopy on it, so I didn't think I needed it, but it landed on top of the glass panels that are in between for the structural support and cooked itself under the metal halides there. So yeah, they can get out of anything.
Yeah. I don't know. I wouldn't trust it. I'd be too nervous. I have too much money, as we all do, invested in these guys.
Yeah.
Plus, emotional investment. It sounds weird. I thought I'd get kind of attached to fish. It's just a fish, but it happens, and I wouldn't want to come home to that. So, tops it is.
Oh yeah, man. If you have no fish jump out, if you have a $60 flame angel jump out of your tank, and you realize that a screen top kit only cost you $30, then it's a little frustrating.
Right.
Well, I tried egg crate one time, in the holes are actually too big on that for your smaller fish, and I actually had a tilefish jump through the egg crate. So you got to go for a screen mesh.
Real quick, since we've been talking about this for a while, if you guys, some of you guys want to jump in on this video chat, I know you've got RotorTube Reef and Mile High Reefers on your Google Plus circles or whatever the hell it's called. You know, send us a message if you want to be invited into this talk, and we'll bring you in. Because I have to wrap it up just for me kind of soon, so.
Well, we're probably at a pretty good place to end it. I think we've got about an hour in so far today. And
yeah.
Yes. Sorry, guys. I'm over here dealing with a.
Yep. So it was a fun experiment to try to do this live. I'm kind of liking it.
Me too. Now we know what's going on. So to you guys in the beginning, I'm going to edit the first 15 minutes out because it took that long to get everybody online. There were some technical difficulties. We're using Google Hangouts. Today's show, we're just talking about filming our tanks just to kind of see how it is. Scott and I talked about doing a live show. So half of them will probably be like this on Saturday or Sunday. So, you know, look out for them. I guess that's all I've got.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's all I got. One thing I will say, I didn't get a chance to go into too much detail because it is a little crazy. But for any of you all that are curious about everything I do with my tank as far as filming, I did a 4-part series on it where I covered everything. So
yeah, it was good.
Yeah, they're great videos.
To using everything on your phone, you know, it's a little biased towards iPhone users. I will admit that, but you can probably take away at least some of the information and use it with any phone. So go check it out if you haven't.
Yeah, and you're using the built-in iMovie app, right, for editing?
Yeah, just iMovie. That's it. That's all.
Works great. Yeah, you do a great job.
Use.
I've used that a couple times. If I wanted to shoot something quick, I'll just film it with the phone, and I'll just make my cuts on the phone. I'll do my voiceover on the phone, and I'll bring the audio in. It's great. So you can definitely do it. So you guys, we're going to have more of these talks every weekend.